one D300AD. So it is a industrial sewing machine. What's the difference between industrial and an at home? This has all metal gears and everything else, and it's a lot more heavy duty, meant to run for 8 hours plus at a time. An at home sewing machine does not do this actually at all, and it doesn't even oil itself. So if you want a lot less maintenance and you just don't want to deal with the headache and a half of the at home sewing machines, they don't actually stuff oil, not like this one. And then get yourself one of these actually at first. They are $300 at the bare minimum if you get these new used condition ones. That's how much this one was, and that's if you're lucky enough to find them at that price. They normally go for four, so you can get one for also 400. And then these are also $500 sewing machines once again. So they are an investment, something that you can get into later once you actually know and get the hang of the sewing yourself and stuff like that with your home sewing machine. But some home sewing machines are $200, $300, or something like that. Why spend $300 on a home sewing machine? We can get a nice industrial one just like this, and a nice old one for just as much. But I can show you exactly what it is, what I mean by that. And I've actually practiced a little bit on this. This is an example of hot air balloon material of what I would be doing on hot air balloon envelopes. So pretty much I'd be doing the same thing with that. But I don't really have the other stuff with me. But anywho, basically this is just a test piece of fabric of what I'd be doing over there in the facility. And this is pretty much the same sewing machine that Cameron Balloons uses. So I would actually, just to let you know, this is exactly what I'm going to use for you. So I'm actually doing this as a resume type of thing. So I put this on my YouTube channel for them so then they can see that. So they can see that my work ethic and my know-how of why and what I know about these machines and all that kind of stuff. So not very many people would really know that. Not very many companies would actually know that other thing as well either. So companies that are looking for that particular type of thing, then I'm looking for this as like a full-time type of job. This is the type of machine that I can do that with. So now I have the machine for it. It's just a matter of using and getting used to this machine and practicing with it. So the other thing is the practicing part is actually the other part that I've been doing so far. And how you thread it is actually just you go right here, you kind of like thread that one. You let the thread go out this way and then that way, this way, like a zigzag, a Z for this particular guide. And then you go same thing with this one, another Z, up over here, down, and then up again. And then you go through your looper over here, and then you actually go right here, and then you just go through this other little looper right here too, and then you go through your upper looper, and then you kind of go down with your upper looper down to over here to this guide, and then this other small little guide right here, and then last but not least, your sewing machine needle, and make sure that your sewing machine needle is actually left to right kind of thing, like kind of thing. So you can actually know that this is actually an industrial machines. You have to go left to right with it. You can't go frontwards or backwards. So hello. I'm showing you guys actually this right here, and this is what I'd be working on with Cameron Balloons and stuff. So enjoy more content of balloon envelope making. So if they actually get me on board and stuff, so and other many other projects. So there's a lot more other things I plan to do with this. I gotta turn this. It has an on and off switch, and yes, I got this thing recently. Oh, actually, it needs a power. I forgot to plug the thing in, so I have to go over there and plug it in. So I'll be right back in front of the camera here. Turn it off first, and then do that. There we go. Now it's plugged in. And it helps to have power with this thing. And yes, you can add an extra lamp to it if you wanted to. You can add all kinds of things to this. It has all kinds of presser feet that you can get for it. For like 25 bucks, you can get a presser feet kit like this one. So for your industrial sewing machine, and it's actually the most common. This is actually the most common pieces for that. Another reason why I would highly recommend getting one, because the pieces are very common for it, parts are very common, so, and they're still made today and all that kind of stuff. So, and this is why I highly recommend getting that at first. To first of all start with, because for one, they're heavy duty, and for two, they will get your jobs done that you would need them to do. and you can teach a lot more people with it, and it runs for 8 hours on end, and you can turn it on, and you can just pretty much forget about that. And which this right here is actually a clutch motor. Clutch motors are always on. That's the difference between the clutch motor and then the servo motor. The servo motors are not always on. So one other thing is that it also is much faster of a machine than your at-home sewing machines. They're also much better as well in a multitude of different ways. So that's why I highly recommend getting one of these, especially in any country, any country that you're in. Doesn't matter. These are actually more precise than ones that you would actually get that normally for at home. Nope, sometimes you don't want to do that with it. Kind of gotta get your thread out of there, and then you get your thread kind of backwards over there with it, and then there you go. As long as you actually don't do that with it, like as long as your thread doesn't get stuck in the middle of it as you're trying to sew. And then you can do this with it. That's a knee pedal right here, right over here. That's what's good about the knee pedal. And then you can actually make it go down like that. Do all kinds of different things with it. And as you can tell, I can pretty much, it's much more easier to get the hang of than an at-home sewing machine. Way easier. It also oils itself too. There's an oil thing over here that shows you how much oil you have in there. You can kind of go all kinds of different directions with it. Frontwards, backwards. Goes backwards too. Well, it doesn't like going backwards, but I gotta get used to that part. I still gotta get used to some practice with the backwards part, but anyhow, it does break the thread if you're actually not careful with it, because it is powerful. So and I'll give that to it with that. So most of the time, on average, they are definitely at least 300 to even get like that. Sometimes your stuff will get stuck in there, like what just happened there. That's because I did something I wasn't really supposed to do with that. Sometimes it likes going forwards rather than backwards. Try not going backwards too much with it, because what it does is it doesn't really like doing that too much. So yeah, but unless you actually have it down all the way completely like that, and I guess. But yeah, still that's just how this machine is and stuff like that. And going forwards easy, but going backwards not so much. Very good stitching with that too. And it can also wind up your bobbins as well. Your bobbin winders right here, and then your actual bobbin you put it right here on the top of it, and it winds up your bobbins at the same time as you're using the machine as well. So it's so much more convenient when you're using your sewing machine and stuff. So if you have a bunch of projects and stuff, this thing is one of the things you really want to use for that. So this is going to be a lot more easier on your back and stuff. And you're just using your legs and your feet, and you're just guiding it with your hands. A lot easier on your shoulders and your hands. So you want to save your hands and shoulders for long term, get a machine like this. That's definitely what I would highly recommend with that. That's why I highly recommend these things, because it will actually save you a bunch of time and money at the same time. Some of them are $5 and some of them are $1,200. This would be an example of one that's a $1,200 one. But this one right here was sold to me for $3, so I got it for $300. I didn't spend $1,200 for that. So luckily I got one for $3, and it's really as you can see, you can do that with it, and you can go whatever kind of direction with it anyway. A bunch of things. Well, I'm trying to actually redo it again. You'll see how I'm gonna have to redo it again. This is another really easy part. Put your thread right back into that other part. And you kind of go down with that one. And you put your thread down and that back down there. And then you put it right through your needle again. And then you're ready to sew again after that. After you put it right through your needle. actually, that's always the... Where's the other part? Okay. Well, anyway. There's another part that makes it a lot easier to do this with tweezers, but I don't really got those out right now. Oh well. I'll make my fingers do just as good as the tweezers over there with that. Try to make my fingers do just good. Try to get this done as quick as possible for you guys, so you guys can see me back into action with it. There we go. Sometimes you gotta get started with a little piece in there, and it doesn't really matter what piece you put in there first, as long as all of it comes in there, all three the strands of the thread. And yes, there's 3 strands of the thread, 3 different things for that. Sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 1. It depends on how strong your thread is and what kind of thread it is, and also the strength actually is what matters with your thread too. This right here is a number 69 thread, not meant for an at-home sewing machine. So if you're gonna get number 69 thread, this is a machine that will take all that on, and much more heavy-duty threads that it can actually handle, because it's actually right here. That's what that can handle. That's why it has these big old spool things. So that's the reason why. Another reason why I would highly recommend a machine like this. So there's quite a few different reasons. And also, then I'm just gonna turn it off here. And then the actual motor itself, it takes a little bit of time to run down. So I'll actually show you guys what I mean by that kind of thing as well, and what else it does. Show you guys the inside over here. Well, that wasn't really supposed to happen. Sometimes, well, I'll clean it up later. Don't mind about that. Anyway, that's exactly the oil. That's where it self-oils and stuff. That's why you have to have it off. And always turn off your motor when it comes to that. Actually, unplug its power. So it doesn't accidentally turn back on, so I don't accidentally do something as I'm trying to fix it back into place. But yeah, that's its oil reservoir and stuff like that. And you can always do that with it. And then you can plug it back in and get back to whatever you were doing with that, etc. But yes, it has a lot of oil in there, which it can be red or see-through. So it doesn't really matter what kind of oil well, it does matter what kind of oil you use. I take that back with that. It always matters what kind of oil you use for this. Sewing machine oil is what you want to use for this. Particularly get a gallon if you can. Those are usually $50 for 1 gallon. So, well, it's also worth it because you don't gotta replace that often, the oil. You don't gotta replace it for months or weeks or whatever kind of thing. If you use it every day, 8 hours a day, then every couple of weeks you have to change out the oil in the machine, and then you have to put more oil in there and keep on doing that. Because it does, as you can see, it will break thread like that if it goes backwards and stuff like that too. So it definitely is a machine to where you would have to kind of get used to it first. But yeah, as you guys can tell, this is like only my second time using one of these, so it's definitely going to take me a little bit of time to get used to it, to going backwards, particularly to see if it actually likes going backwards. So I got to cover it again to try to make it go backwards. But other than that, this is definitely something I can exchange to be able to do that with it and do other work for that. So this would be something I plan to use, not just part-time. It's going to be a full-time job right here, a particular thing, as it's planned for later on, either later on or soon. I'm not really sure exactly when, so I can't really promise anything with that. But at least I made the investment for it to be able to go and do that and stuff like that, and to apply to different companies and that. So I definitely have some work that I'm going to be doing with this. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I'm definitely and sure enough that I'm going to be making something with it. And lots of different other orders, including inflatable custom orders. Many other orders with that. So that would be that. And that's what this video was about. That's what this live stream was about with that. Even though I repeated myself quite a few times. I know I did though. But yeah, there's just, like I said, I have to get more of that and I had a long day at work over there today as well, so I'll be working again tomorrow. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next one, and I'll end it for right now. And you got any questions for me anyway? Any companies out there that actually are looking for somebody like me? You can comment down below over there too.